My name is Hanna Dencik Petersson and I'm the director of Oslo Architecture Triennale. These are my colleagues Eva Engeset, communications manager in Triennale, and Alexandra Cruz, who's program manager. Oslo Architecture Triennale is arena and platform for debate and to create debate and engagement within the field of architecture. We aim to challenge the field of architecture, the way we talk about it, the way we understand architecture, and the way architecture plays a role in societal development. We do this through creative programming, testing out new ways of disseminating architecture, and always also with kind of in the back of our minds producing content, trying to reach an audience also beyond the field itself. And to do this, of course, we need to test and also to fail. So we think we do both. Through failing, I guess we learn, and that way we can push things forward. OAT is a really small organization. This is the core team of the Triennale, which means that to be successful we need to work on collaborations, and we do that in a large extent. We have a large network, both with members that kind of own the Triennale and then partners and collaborators, both in Norway and internationally. With all of these collaborators and partners and the secretariat kind of in motion, we create a large program with its highlight every third year, where we produce a big international festival here in Oslo.
In addition to the festival, we also work with a continuous program in which we aim to bring forward a plurality of perspectives and include the local voices into the architectural debates and discussions. We work both with an international and local focus. This means that it's important for us to bring in issues and questions that are important in the international agenda, let's say, but that are also relevant in terms of the local context. In order to do this, it is crucial for us to develop collaborations and to develop content in close dialogue with our program partners, both internationally and also nationally. In terms of structure, and in order to get a program that we aim to be, let's say, to represent a variety and also to be let's say, lively and intense, we especially in between the festival years, we are very conscious. We work with working with formats that somehow allow for discussions and conversations, because this is also an opportunity that we have to create spaces where people can meet, where we can bring forward different perspectives, and where we can really create a forum for discussions that is inclusive, accessible, and diverse.
And this year it's 20 years and 7 festivals since Oslo Architecture Triennale was established in 2000. And to celebrate this anniversary, we are developing a new digital platform, a brand new corona-friendly arena. At this new arena, we are inviting our audience to a jubilee program that both looks back on the history and into the future of the Triennale and of the city. And this new digital arena allows us to keep on putting architecture and urban development on the agenda, and as well to keep on coming together, though on social distance.
And after this presentation here, you will be able to take part in or take in a small part of a project that was presented in the 2019 Triennale. The project is called Place Listening, developed by Cecilie Sax-Olsen and Nina Westerdahl, an artist-architect duo. The project is a sound walk, an interactive sound walk that tries to investigate how architecture and city planning comes about and who has a voice in that. So for this occasion, the Future Architecture Platform Rooms, we have developed a shorter, kind of condensed version of this walk for you to enjoy.
Dear players, see the plot of vacant land between the buildings? What would you like me, the future, to look like in this space?
I think it would be super to have like some kind of urban oasis over here, a safe space. If they leave it just like as is.
And it's the squatters.
Yeah, but that's part of it, right? That's the squatters go to those places.
In a way, is the most intuitive thing that you can do. You know, you need shelter, there is some unused shelter, so you take shelter in the building, and yet governments criminalise it.
Yeah, the immediate assumption that, okay, we're going to develop a site means that the people that are currently using it need to move out and other people who are somehow more worthy to the local area according to some very restrictive assessment. It's an assumption that we need to check.
Who is this city for? Who am I, the future, for? Do those that tell the stories rule the world? Is a story only alive if someone listens?
I feel with urbanism, the possibility are endless because it's about the people. So it's really about what kind of, who we are as a city. What kind of, tillgänglig, how to say, who are we making this city available to?
So I'll think about this place where we are at Flow.
Yeah.
I hope we can still have diversity.
Yeah.
We can still save some of these weird places, things that are out of the norm, because it's easy to make everything like streamlined and mass-produced.
I feel alienated by what they call culture, and I feel bored by what they call diversity, and I feel pushed out by what they call affordable.
What are these? Huge eye, huge ear, huge nose.
Ovaries.
I have never noticed that actually.
I've never noticed it. These are my favourite bit.
There's something over here, I don't know, is it a bit of lung? They're amazing.
It's about personality, I think. Buildings without personality don't, you don't stop.
Do you have any thoughts about graffiti?
If you were to ask, which would you rather have, billboards promoting body supplements or ugly graffiti, I'd take the graffiti any day.
One way to think about graffiti is it's a little bit like a kind of nature taking over. The way that grass grows up through paving stones and stuff, that people's instinct to be present in a lasting way on a facade is just part of fighting back against something which is overdetermined.
This is what is so sincere about graffiti and street art. It's layers upon layers, and it's not meant any disrespect to the artists before or the one coming after, and it's part of the the fabric of street life. When you look at this, and you think, this wall, how many stories have been shared on this wall?
How important is nature for urban living? What does it mean to be a green city? Is nature for all, or only for the privileged few?
Yeah, it's really nice how in different parts of Oslo you get a different relationship to this river. Well, it's just, I think because it's moving quite fast and it's small and it's dynamic, you get loads of different views of it, whether you're sort of right by it, and it doesn't feel overly kind of sanitized and urban.
This is the cradle of the Industrial Revolution in Norway we really are talking about, with all the buildings from the top. It's more than 8 kilometers long, this Akerselva river. And it's very interesting what has happened in the last 30 years with big transformation. There are not only one company functioning still. All the other buildings, industrial buildings, are transformed, but in interesting new context. For instance, this Doga here, that really was an electric plant, and it's now it's the design center and also people living in that building.
Huge salmon come and spawn in this river. It is. I mean, it's not a kind of dead urban waterway in that way. It is actually still a kind of artery of non-humans, for non-humans.
You can just take a sip of water down here, and it's not. It is safe to drink it.
Yeah, when you think about it, it's an extraordinary act of violence to put a river in a pipe, actually.
A lot of people come to meet each other and maybe exchange advice for how to survive, and also to rest for an hour or two. Well, yeah, this park that stretches along several spaces along the river has a reputation for drug selling, for example. And although that might be true, I think its significance is mainly that it's perceived as some sort of a safe space for those, for example, who doesn't have documents.
I don't know, I don't really bother me much with the ruined future anymore. It's always looked like it was ruined from the start. And looking around in Oslo, it's getting even worse day by day. Everything costs more. There's no place for people that don't earn high salary. And everyone else is slowly being pushed out. I don't have high hopes for the future, but yeah, we'll try to stop it somehow.
Do you feel like you have a possibility to affect the development in Oslo?
Both yes and no. I feel the only way to do it is by actually taking the matters in your own hand and breaking the law.
If you look at the way that this city so far is treating the shared places, the open spaces, the parks, for example, they're not as welcoming as they could have been and as they should have been for everyone.
So the only reason that there's a large metal obstruction over there is so you can't use it.
Yeah.
And this would actually be an interesting space to use.
What if play was the guiding principle of city planning? How would this heavily trafficked street be different? Would there still be cars?
All for shifting the dominant force of city planning and occupation away from the car.
Let's get rid of the cars, but leave people the freedom to how do you say it, influence the space as much as they did with cars. Right? So the car is a huge object. You can leave it there for long amounts of time. It's heavy. All this stuff you're not allowed to do. So just let me bring car-shaped,
not even
car scale,
like
car scale items into the space, and you will have, you know, all this vibrance and kind of public life that everyone wants.
In Arabic, we have an expression called mishwar, which means to go for a walk and do nothing. So people call you, hey, you want to go mishwar? You say, well, in the car or walking, because two of them are different. And I love the mishwar with the car, because with the car, you know, and that's one thing like we're discussing here, the Arab community, because Oslo, of course, is going to be like a leader in a car-free zone, city center. And we love to get in our cars and like, oh my God, have you read the latest album? Like, no, okay, you know, and we listen to it together in the car on a day where there's nothing to do, which is for, I guess, many in the Arab community is quite often in Oslo. You get in the car, you listen, you know, and you walk around and you look at the buildings, you look at the people, you make fun of people passing, or you know, it's like, you know, and it's the same with the walking. You walk and you're meant to walk aimlessly through the city. There isn't this, like, we have this expression in Norwegian, ut betyr aldri sur, but I feel like, well, you're still staying sur because you have, like, you go with the aim to get somewhere and come back. Whereas when you like just kind of meander, kind of like how we're doing now, even though you're guiding me through the city a little bit, it's like, you know, we always have this thing where we walk and we see where we end up, you know? And it's very important aspect of mishwar that it doesn't end up with you buying something.
Like, as bad as cars are, they are like a free thing in a way.
Yeah.
Right? They are an individual's possibility to
it's a very special example of being able to inhabit space.
So this is actually also an important aspect of like this transformation into pedestrian zones, right? Like basically you can't take over these spaces anymore.
Yes.
Right? So there's no way to sort of do what you could with the car, which was move it into the space and then it's yours. So we need systems that allow this, right? Temporary ownership of places that you then have a say over, that become yours. And if you lose that, then you can't own anything.
I hope that we will feel less like we're stuck on a conveyor belt towards a future that there's nothing we can do about, and feel more as though we're moving in the right direction, or we're spending time doing the right thing rather than this constant like guilt and conflict and hypocrisy that we all have to live with all of the time.
You end up lacking empathy.
Yeah.
Nihilism is very pervasive. Apathy is very attractive.
We had lovely weather. For weeks and weeks and weeks. Hot.
I think realistically, a lot of the damage that we've been doing, a lot of those chickens are going to come home to roost, and we are going to have to be dealing with a lot of remediation for the damage that we've caused and are still causing. So there will be a kind of element of survivalism almost.
I'm going to teach my daughter how to light a fire without matches or a lighter. I've never made fire. I wonder how many people have.
Does the talk of climate change stress you out? Let's escape up these stairs and into the old part of Oslo.
I know maybe you see this as a kind of sort of pristine dead historic space.
Well, it's very pretty. It feels almost like you're in a historic novel or something.
This is constantly the battle with like city heritage departments. Is their job is to sort of police the protection of history, but often the thing that they're protecting has been created by like centuries of improvisation.
It It's important to think in the long term when we are planning the city, because the users and the use, they come and go. The owners, they come and go, and those who don't think in the long terms, they are quite seldom positive, very positive parts of the city development.
And so the question is, how in the world do you force a modern society to build a nation and the planet according to plan, rather than building according to short-term expediency, or short-term benefit, or short-term profit, or short-term whatever?
Will barcode inserting work? Yeah, will it work? I think sometimes it changes through time. It is something that changes as the city changes.
What I didn't expect was that I was going to wish for creative architects. Oh, really? I didn't think that was a problem, but it is. And if you look what people have planned concerning housing in Oslo, oh, it's so dull. Oh, really? Is this a place where I would like to live? Most places, no.
Do you learn solely from the past? How do you learn for the future? Are you scared of me, the future?
I share my children's fear. I do. I'm afraid of going on like we do.
Every big movement in history has started with something small happening. It doesn't happen overnight.
When school started in August this year, I sat myself down on the ground outside the Swedish parliament. I school striked for the climate.
The environmental movement can seem separate from the rest of the world. But if you look at it, it's incredibly connected to every other industry in the world. It's connected to politics, to human rights, to race relations. These are all very connected issues, and therefore the industries that play a part in it need to take responsibility. It's not just about writing different policies to change, but it's also about, corporate responsibility. Our corporations hold a lot of power in the world.
For 25 years, countless of people have stood in front of the United Nations climate conferences, asking our nation's leaders to stop the emissions. But clearly, this has not worked, since the emissions just continue to rise. So I will not ask them anything. Instead, I will ask the people around the world to realize that our political leaders have failed us.
Do you do enough to secure a better future? No.
It's something that is always helps me feel optimistic when I hear a siren and then just see people getting out the way. I mean, that is a great thing that we do for each other all the time without thinking, and it's just fantastic. So if you're feeling sad ever, just go outside, stand on a busy street, wait for a siren to go past and just watch people get out the way.